Good morning, friends. It's Jess here, and McGonagall and I are taking a property walk today. We're practicing hello Papa. We are practicing the permaculture principle of observation today as we walk around my property midwinter here in central Victoria, Australia, and we are going to take you along for the ride because it's a great way to give you a little bit of an insight. I'm currently standing on the banks of our dam. Our dam has a quartz rock reef. Sorry, the dog is being very distracting. We have a quartz rock reef that runs through the dam, and that means that we actually struggle to maintain the water level. It's at the current level because we have had a lot of rain recently, but that quartz rock reef means that the dam has not ever been adequately sealed, and that looks like when there isn't water being added to it by rainfall, it will slowly leach out. So the dam does need to be resealed. I never quite got over my childlike love of picking up a cool rock, which is probably a good thing because the property's full of them. But it's one thing that will often distract me on a walk is investigating the rocks that I find, especially after a rain, because new and exciting rocks are always coming to the surface. I love a rock with a squiggly line in it. This one's covered in mud, but you can see that there is a rock that has a quartz vein running through it, and there are so many fun rocks on the property. Look at these fun ones over here. More of that quartz veins running through different formations. Like I said, it is easy to get distracted. There are a lot of rocks to look at on this property, isn't there, McGonagall? We are currently standing at the back of the dam looking down the hill towards the creek that runs at the bottom of the property. And in the foreground here, you can see one of the many rock reefs that run along the back end of this property. McGonagall is over there having a good sniff around to see if she can find any interesting scents. And we're going to wander down and look and see if the creek is flowing. We've had a lot of rain recently, so I'm hoping that it is. Everything's looking pretty lush, which is nice. There are so many of these wild roses growing on the property. I really should learn how to utilize the rose hips. If you have any suggestions, feel free to leave them in the comments because they are in abundance. So this is the creek that runs at the bottom of the property. I'm using run to refer to the shape of the land rather than the water content in the creek, because as you can see, it's a dry creek bed. There was a really large there was a really hectic flood event about a decade ago which dragged a lot of debris into this creek. And I don't think it's really recovered since then. It's an amazing spot to walk and investigate. Lots of really cool rocks. But it isn't exactly an aquatic wonderland. It is stunning though. So I've walked back up from the creek, which is that line there, and now I am sitting in one of the paddocks. And when I say paddocks, I mean tiny bit of cleared land. We need better fences and infrastructure before it could properly be considered a paddock. This section here, that's the back wall of our dam, and this is the paddock. What you're looking at is a sloping bit of land leading to the uncleared bush block area that heads up the hill. So we've got the peak of the hill up the top near the top of the tree line, and we have an access road to the property running around the side of the hill to get in here. We've got some shedding over here, and then on the other side of the dam and up a little bit is where our house is situated. On the other side of the dam is a similar paddock to this, but it has more quartz rock reefs and rock reefs in general running through it. And it all slopes down to the creek behind. So I'm well aware that this property is full of potential. There is so many options and exciting projects that we can undertake here. We have a couple of things that have held me back, and those are your standard resources: time, money, and skills. I've been working slowly on increasing capacity in all of those areas. And now it's time to really nail down our plans. Sometimes one of the hardest things about getting started is knowing where to start. And I guess one of the reasons I've started turning the camera on is so that I can kind of document that journey of starting, getting started, and trying to encourage others to do the same. Because I know that let's say decision paralysis or getting stuck in the learning phase rather than the doing phase is really common, not just obviously with improvements on a property, but in every area of your life. And so I want to get out of the imagining phase and get into the doing phase. And that might mean that I, in the beginning, make mistakes or end up putting a greenhouse where I decide I should have put an orchard. But if I don't ever get started, those trees will never grow. And I think it's time to get started. Honestly, when I use the term dam, I should really be using it loosely. It is essentially a hollow in the ground that sometimes has water in it. Because of the quartz rock reefs that run through this property, it leaches its water pretty much as quickly as it gains it. The area that would hold water is massive, but you can see that it's been a while since it's held much water at all because we've got all these trees growing in there. my phone's about to run out of battery, so I might wrap up from here. I've given you some of the tour of the property, just the lower half, just the cleared half. Maybe we'll keep going in another video.